Hi folks, my Raspberry Pi 500 has got a secret which you cannot see from the outside. I can turn it around and around, but you cannot notice it. I've put here another Raspberry Pi that is displaying accurate time, but we're gonna see why this is for later. So if you open a command window and we run this kind of command, we can see that the voltage reads almost exactly 3 volts, but usually a Raspberry Pi 500 that comes from the factory would have 0 volts here. So its real-time clock would have been wrong if it was not connected to the internet for some times, and actually the time that you could read from here would be the time that starts from the exact moment that you've turned your computer off. All the times on your files would be wrong. So I'm going to show you one more thing. This is in systems root, boot and firmware directory. We have config.txt file. You can see that the battery is charged to exactly 3 million microvolts, and this is exactly 3 volts. This is done because I have a rechargeable battery. If you are connecting a rechargeable battery to your Raspberry Pi 5 or Raspberry Pi 500, which are basically very similar to work with, then you have to also connect a 75 ohm resistor. But on Raspberry Pi 5, this resistor is already inbuilt, so don't have to worry about it. You just buy the standard battery assembly and you put it in. You also get the connector with it. But with Raspberry Pi 500, there is no connector. There are just bare contacts which are not connected anywhere. And I think that Raspberry Pi did not inbuilt a real-time clock battery, more or less for economic reasons, so to get Raspberry Pi 500 cheaper to buy. But if you want to have a real-time clock battery, then you have to do it yourself. As you can see in this video, I've tried to inbuild a non-rechargeable battery, and I've also used a little bit too big a battery holder. I was not able to close the case, and it remained a little bit open, which is not aesthetic, and it's also not very useful. I've used the space that was originally intended for an SSD drive layer, but unfortunately Raspberry Pi has also decided not to inbuild an M.2 connector and not to inbuild the voltage regulator, so there are a number of elements missing, and of course you cannot inbuild an SSD drive except if you have special soldering equipment. So I've decided to simply inbuild a battery instead. To inbuild a battery is much simpler. The only thing that you really have to keep in mind is if you have a rechargeable battery, then just connect a 75 ohm resistor, because in this case you do have 2 contacts that are actually meant for an SMD, a microscopic 75 ohm resistor, but they are not populated. You can put there a wire connection, and then you can use a standard resistor which you solder onto your battery, and then you solder the 2 cables. Of course you have to have correct orientation to the contacts on the board. So as I've said, you can watch the previous video to see exactly how to do it, how to measure voltages and everything. It's not difficult if you know how to do it. So I've basically replaced the non-rechargeable battery with a rechargeable battery from an old PC, and as you can see, right now I'm having this for a half a year, and it works perfectly. If you've liked this video, please press like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget about the notification bell. See you in the next video. Bye.